This happened when I was 17 years of age, 10 years ago, so I'm recounting it as if it was then. I live in Australia and had moved to Brisbane about a year ago from Melbourne. This time of year it was summer, so I slept in nothing but just underwear and a thin blanket to keep the mosquitoes off. One morning I woke up feeling cold but very sweaty, and I could not breathe. And as I awoke and looked at my chest, lo and behold, a pale arm. And as I noticed it, it just slid off to the side of the bed, fell to the ground with a thud, and then I heard it slide against the carpet as it vanished under the bed. I honestly was not afraid at that brief moment, just unnerved, until I realized what just happened. I couldn't sleep in that room comfortably anymore. I never noticed it being attached to anything, just as if someone was crouched next to the bed with their arm on my chest. There were no sounds apart from what the arm had touched. The arm was a left-handed one, and it slid to my left side. It's really weird. I couldn't move until the arm disappeared, and I never saw it vanish, just disappear to my left side. And both my arms were under the blanket because I was cold. And of course I looked under the bed. There was no sign of it. I'm not a professional writer. This true story may have mistakes. I am a 16-year-old male, and I believe my house is being stalked. I might be being paranoid, but the weird things going on around my house just don't add up. It all started when one day I got home from school to find my family was not home. This was no big deal, as I had the key to my house. Unfortunately for me, I had forgot my key that morning as I was in a rush. So I was sitting there waiting for my family to come home when I noticed a man that had walked past me multiple times, always seeming to be watching me as he passed. After a while, he stopped walking past me, but I was still unnerved by the man and thought he might still be watching me. When my family got home, I told them about the man and they told me to brush it off. Probably no big deal. The next creepy experience took place about 2 weeks later. I had all but forgotten about the man at that point until my mom came home and told me that during the night she had heard noises around the house and that the back door was unlocked. I take the trash out around our house, so the only logical conclusion was that I had left it unlocked the day prior. But I know me, I never leave that door unlocked. I always take great care to lock the door. So that left a few conclusions as to what happened. Either I had left it unlocked, my sister had unlocked it, or someone had forced their way into the house during our sleep. Conclusion 2 seemed most likely, as my sister took out the cat litter through the back door into the garbage, but that wouldn't explain the noises we heard. So I was taking out the garbage as per my chores, and I noticed that the back door was unlocked again. My sister hadn't taken out the cat litter today or the day prior, and I knew I had locked it yesterday. I stepped outside and saw that our backyard gate was wide open. This was not normal, as all someone had to do to throw out cat litter or garbage was open the trash can, and it was very close to the gate. I knew I hadn't opened it, and I asked my sister if she had opened it, and she hadn't. This was rather unnerving, and I had no idea what was going on now. Was someone opening our doors and coming into our house? Nothing made sense. This last part is what made me want to post this. I was taking out the garbage again when I saw the door to the backyard was open. This freaked me out, but I decided I had to take out the trash anyways, otherwise my mom would probably get pissed at me. When I saw the gate wide open again, I freaked out. Was someone opening our gate, unlocking our doors, and coming into our house? I quickly threw away the trash and speed walked inside. I was about to tell my parents when I remembered it was Tuesday. The trash truck always comes on Wednesday, so I had to put the garbage can out on the curb. This did not sit well with me at all. I reluctantly went outside to the garbage can. It won't take long. Don't freak out, I'm sure it's nothing, I told myself. I took the garbage can out to the curb and was about to head back inside when I noticed someone standing on the sidewalk about a house away. It was him. The man who had passed by and watched me when I was locked outside of my house. Even from a distance, I could tell it was him. He was just standing there, watching me. I didn't hesitate to sprint back inside the house and lock the doors. I told my parents immediately, and they said they shouldn't call the cops because it might just be a coincidence. I didn't want to argue with them, but I knew that this was no coincidence. He was watching me. I could feel it, even from afar. I could feel his eyes on me as he stood there on the sidewalk. He wasn't moving towards or away from me, just standing there. This was no coincidence. He had to be watching me. I might be paranoid, but I believe this man is watching me and my family. I believe he's the one coming into our house. I believe he's the one leaving the gate open. I believe he wants me to know he's the one doing it. I don't know what to do. What if he comes back? What if he hurts someone? This happened about a year ago. The day of the incident, my boyfriend had just gone to a trucking school to get his CDL. It was my first night without him in our house, and the house felt big and empty without him. I decided to go to bed after an emotional day. I laid in bed for several hours, fading in and out of sleep. I noticed that as I was about to fall asleep, my closet door on the opposite side of the room opened, and millions of bugs seemed to pour out. I snapped back to it. About 15 minutes later, I again began to teeter in and out of sleep. A small, shadow-like figure appeared at the foot of my bed. It just stood there, looking at me. I couldn't move. I again came to. I was sweating and panting. I relaxed and laid back. The familiar feeling of consciousness and unconsciousness began to creep over me. The shadow-like figure returned. It seemed to creep up my bed over me. Its face was something out of a horror movie. A hellish grin was planted on its face. Its head kept shifting from side to side. Its shadowy hand seemed to reach out for me. I snapped back, shaking, sweating. My heart felt like it was going to beat out of my chest. I didn't sleep that night. I have never been more scared in my life. I'm 36 now, but the following happened to me when I was 19. A quick backstory is that I was, and still am, a volunteer firefighter in a small West Australian town in the southwest. In addition to the normal volunteer firefighter ins and outs of attending incidents, I was also involved in the sports side of the fire brigade. This comprised of individual and team events. The fire brigade you belonged to was your team, and across Western Australia there were about 30 such brigades, and between October and April we would travel and compete. We had traveled to Geraldton to compete in the state championships in 1999. I had, through hard work, won the Championship Fireman Award and was at the hosting fire brigades after the event celebration and was enjoying myself with my team drinking beer and socializing, which started around 5 p.m. While I admit I was pretty drunk, I was still traveling. There were a shitload of people, and a lot of my time was spent talking to officials, older members, and with friends catching up, so I had not really got my drink on yet. I needed to take a piss, so I just went around the corner and started to piss in the garden like I had a few times already. Every other bloke at the party was doing the same thing, when I got a phone call from an unknown number. Being away from the noise, I answered it, and I remember the guy asking for someone I didn't know, and ended the call after perhaps 10 or 15 seconds of, "Sorry, wrong number." I finished my piss and then went straight back to the party. When I returned, I was absolutely in shock. Everyone had disappeared and it was dead quiet. Every table and chair was neatly stacked, all the rubbish cleared, the lights off, and doors locked. There were no cars, and it was just dead quiet, with not a sound, it appeared, across the whole town. I was fucking confused. I took my phone out and it was just after 4 a.m. What the fuck happened? I checked through my phone and it showed literally dozens of missed calls and 30 or 40 text messages of people searching for me and looking for me. I called my mate and made it back to my hotel, and over the next few days confirmed with many people that I had been standing in a circle and excused myself to take a piss after receiving a phone call, and that was the last anyone saw of me that night. Where I pissed was where everyone was pissing, so it is impossible that I could have been there unnoticed, and a group of friends searched around for me, but I was gone. I still don't know the explanation, and am still as confused as fuck. Let me tell you a little bit of myself before I tell you my story. I'm a 15-year-old girl, and I do believe in the paranormal, and I love horror movies, and I'm not afraid of the paranormal or ghosts. Okay, here is my story. When I was 7 years old, I loved to watch horror movies with my dad and big brother. My mom never liked the horror movies, and she always told me I will get nightmares, but I never got nightmares, and I wasn't afraid of anything. One night, I was watching a few horror movies with my dad. My mom told me to go take a bath, and I was very tired, but I listened to my mom and I went in the bathroom and filled the bath with water. Before I get on with my story, I want to first describe the bathroom. The bathroom was very small, with a long, deep bath, and there was a mirror in front of the bath. Now, as a child, I would look in the mirror and wash my face and hair. But this time, when I was done washing my face, I looked up, and in the mirror, I saw a little girl behind me with long, beautiful black hair, and her skin was white as snow, and her skin was wrinkled as if she was in the bath for weeks. When I saw her, I just froze. I didn't know what to do, but I don't even know what happened next. I saw her get drowned, but I could feel every single thing she was feeling, even how the water filled her lungs. Like it was a dream, but it felt so real, like I was really there. It hurt so bad, but when she died, I was sitting in the bathtub and nothing had changed. Everything was okay and the pain was gone. It felt like I woke up from a bad dream, but it felt so real. I didn't know what happened, and it took me a few minutes to relax and think about what had happened. When I was relaxed, I got out of the bath and went to bed. When I was lying in bed, I was thinking it's just the horror movies I'm watching with my dad, so I went to sleep. The next few days, nothing happened. Then it started happening every night. After a week of this, I didn't want to tell anyone because I was afraid I was going crazy. But then it all went away after my 9th birthday. It all stopped and it never happened again until my birthday last year. I was cleaning my mirror on my birthday and I put it next to my bathtub. I just wanted to take a long, relaxing bath, but it was a mistake to leave the mirror by my bathtub. As I lay in the bath, I felt uncomfortable and something felt wrong, but I ignored it and tried to relax. When I was washing my face, I saw the mirror and I could see the color drain from my face, and it happened again. Except I didn't see the little girl drowning. She was drowning me. I could feel the water go into my lungs and the water cover my face. It hurt so much I started to cry. It felt like an hour, but it was more or less 3 minutes trying to breathe. And finally, I could breathe, and as always, nothing changed. And I took my mirror and put it on the floor. I told my mom about this, and she told me my dad's ex-girlfriend's child died, drowning. She's not even part of my family, but why am I seeing this? This year in January, I came back from South Africa with my mom and dad after seeing my family. When I got home, things felt wrong. I didn't know how to describe it, but I felt like I wasn't welcome in my home. One day, I went out with some friends after helping my friend's mom. We went to the movies, and when the movie was done, I was so tired I couldn't keep my eyes open. My body was in pain, and when I got home, I couldn't fall asleep with all my pain. So I went to the bathroom and filled the bath with water. I felt relaxed, and some days I like to put my head under the water. As I go down under the water, I just lay there, and after a few seconds, I realized I had been under there longer than usual. As I opened my eyes, I saw a man's hands in the water strangling me, and I tried fighting back, and it just went away. I was so shocked I was sitting up in the bath and I didn't know what to do. I got out of the bath and texted my boyfriend about what happened. I am very grateful about everything he does for me. He is helping me every day with these problems. I just hope it won't happen again.